Hey, 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 welcome to Musings with Shinnell, the podcast where we endeavor to know better, be better, and do better by examining our lives and the ways in which we navigate the spaces where we find ourselves. I am your host, Shinnell. I am happy to be here with you for this episode, elated to be here, actually. And when I say that, I genuinely mean that, but in a much deeper sense than I usually do. Because for a minute or 5 or 30 this past week, I was legit questioning my mortality. Guys, it was the COVID. It is COVID. It had me in a chokehold, and I'm not even sure if I'm fully released yet. I think I'm like 90 or 95% good at this point, but for 5 or 6 days last week, I was in bed all day long. Now, I've had COVID twice before. Neither was a walk in the park, but this time I don't know what on earth is in this strain, but I do not want to ever again in this life or anyone after experience what that felt like, and I don't wish it on anyone. I'll obviously get into this week's episode, but in the spirit of sharing, let me give you all like the symptoms highlight from what I experienced so that if you catch it and it catches you off guard, that hopefully you'll be less panicked than I was. If your experience, hoping that you don't have it, turns out to be similar, because it had me shook. Between the first time I started feeling off, just testing positive, and then finally feeling like, I can function again, which I only felt like I could truly function maybe like yesterday or today. It's probably been like 7 or 8 days altogether. We started off with exhaustion. And to be fair, I tend to dabble in exhausted waters quite a bit. So I wasn't sure if I was regular tired or there was something different about it. But that brand of exhaustion, now that I look back, it hit kind of different, because I usually am still able to be super tired and function, but this wave, I was falling asleep, and then I wouldn't know that I was sleeping until I woke up again, and that was like sign number 1. Then my throat started to feel weird. And cold and flu-like symptoms, nobody loves them, but like that sore throat, I don't know anyone that enjoys that feeling. Even now, to my ear, I feel like I still sound a little raspy. I don't know if it's like coming over in the podcast, but anyway. So at that point we had exhaustion and cold and flu symptoms. So I just thought, okay, I need some rest. It's going to blow over. And that was like the end of, not this week, but the previous one, going into the weekend. No big deal. It's the weekend. I'll rest up and everything will be good. But then I got into the weekend and things started to take like more of a turn. The pain was in my bones. All of my bones in there, nonstop. And there was nothing I could do other than just like lay there and feel it. There was no amount of stretching, painkillers, massaging, nothing. It was inside every bone. It kept me up through the night. It had me in tears. It was horrible. And I couldn't, it's like you can't run from your body, right? Like you can't jump out of your skin. You can't get away from the aches and the pains even if you wanted to. It was just so much to deal with. And for people that actually know me, they'll know that like I'm not one to add extra sauce on stuff, right? Or, overreact, especially when it comes to me and my health. My toxic trait is quite the opposite, because I think historically I've been, the kind of person who downplays anything that's going on with me, because I can just like focus on responsibilities or tasks or whatever else I think is more important at the moment than like stopping the flow of our health, That's not a great trait. I'm working on it. But I'm sharing that to say that I was scared and I thought that something was seriously wrong with me, and I was so worried. And so then I finally, I took the test and it was COVID, and I was relieved to know what it actually was, because I'd remembered, years before when I'd gotten the second COVID vaccine, I had a rough time after I got that vaccine, and something about it felt similar, but clearly in a smaller dose than I was going through currently. And so the test was positive, and I just had to let it run, right? We went from, I say we, but I mean me, but I'm talking as if you guys were there. You were not. But it went from body pain to headaches, to chills, to lack of balance, lightheadedness, nausea. It was just a lot. Spent the entire week in bed. Loss of taste and loss of smell, that was a thing too, briefly. And now, finally, I am better. I'm still dealing with a bit of a cough and a runny nose, a little bit of fatigue here and there, but I think I'm fine enough now. And we're here to do this episode of the podcast. Now, even though I was hazy all of last week and in bed, every now and then, I would still get like some thoughts here and there that I made note of that I felt were worthy of, sharing on this podcast. Not necessarily in this episode, but in the future. Wisdom nuggets, right, if you will. And as I got them, part of me wondered whether I should just let this podcast be a mix of longer episodes, but then also like 5-minute sprinkles of whatever inspiration pops in to my mind on any given day. I don't know if that'd be beneficial, or if you guys like rather have long episodes that you could really sit with. I don't know. I think the 5-minute picker-uppers could be good. My mind works in those types of bursts, like something comes to me and then like I make a note on my phone or I record a voice note and it just like addresses one specific thing. And it's usually pretty good. It's usually what I need to hear in the moment. So maybe I'll share that. But okay. Let's talk about this episode and what's been on my mind. Are you ready? We'll dive right in. You're not hopeless, and you're not helpless. Don't let anyone make you feel as though you're helpless, right? Say it after me. I am not helpless. Now, there are already a few things wrong with the whole don't let anyone make you feel as though you're helpless sentence, because somebody can't really make you feel something, right? We act as though someone else can make us feel this way or that way, as if they have a magic wand. And the truth is, how we feel is how we allow ourselves to feel. But I digress. Let's just pretend that someone can make us feel as though we're helpless. Don't let them do that. You are not helpless. And whether you believe it or not, at all times within you, you have an internal compass that knows exactly what you need to do in order to help yourself. It knows exactly what you need to do in order to align with the right people, the right opportunities, to be situated in the right places. You have that guidance system within yourself. It's strange, but also not so strange when you think about how complicated and simple this life is all at the same time. Like, how can it be both? Life feels like you're constantly trying to learn and adjust and calibrate and recalibrate and all these things, right? And sometimes you feel like you have it all together. And then sometimes it feels like life just leaves you reeling, out of control, without direction, helpless, lost even. And being a human being sometimes feels like so hard. But then I wonder if we're the ones doing it to ourselves and it actually doesn't have to be this hard. Sometimes I look at the birds and the trees and I think about the weather and the seasons and bears and hibernation. Like, a lot of things happen in my head. Don't worry about it. But when I look at all these things, like, there is source energy, right? There is a certain divine intelligence running through all things on this earth in vibration. It's naturally informing next steps. It's perfect harmony, right? It lets the birds know when to migrate and where to go. It lets the bears know when to hibernate the flowers when to bloom, the leaves when to fall, right? It knows when life forms have gotten to a point of transition, whether that's in birth or in death. Like there's something pulsing through all things, through all of us, that is there to energize us and to move us in the direction of flow, of ease. There's something greater that we're a part of, but like instinctively knows what to do, but it's not something that we control, right? Like even these bodies that we have, they're perfectly designed with organs that work in ways that science had to like discover and is still discovering and trying to figure out the perfection of it all. But it's already working that way, already there. And so like when I think about us and feeling helpless, it just doesn't match up. Because how can we feel helpless? There's no way that that could be the case when we are a part of creation, right? However you choose to believe creation came to be, but we're a part of it. And there's no way that we could be a part of creation, but somehow still be left out of the magnificence and the splendor of being a part of this divine intelligence and or source or God that made all of it come to be, right? How do we move from majesty to helplessness? I don't, the math isn't mathing on that. And it baffles me that we can be confused and lost when life is meant to give us the answers. Is it just that we're lost because we are not seeking it? Like we're supposed to be like this superior, species or whatever, and we have these minds that can think and rationalize. And is it the mind, the thinking mind, that's working against us because we're thinking too much when it's easier than that, But like if I am a part of all of this and I am in this flow of a God and a world that was made to provide, then how can I actually feel helpless? What's happening in my mind that's causing me to take myself out of that harmony? So I thought about it for a bit, about my experience with feeling that way or my observations about people in despair. And then try to reconcile that with what I've read or what I've listened to. It seems to me that a lot of the time when we feel helpless or allow people to make us think that we feel that way, it's usually when we see ourselves as being isolated or separated, right, from the whole, from life, from the source that provides all of our needs, right, from each other, from our power within. I don't see the birds worried about their next meal. And sometimes life can get tough, but truly life does provide. I think if you give it room to, and if we don't try to dictate exactly how the provision comes. For me, I think I allow myself to feel helpless when I worry about too many things that I can't change or can't control. I'm either tied up in the past, thinking about situations where I navigated with that lack mentality, or I'm in the future worried about things that probably will never happen. But misery loves company. Even if you're the miserable one and your thoughts are the company. And I've asked myself, well, if you're helpless, then in whose hands have you placed the power to save you exactly? Is that the job of some other human being to come in and figure out how you feel and make everything right for you? Do you need someone else to serve your needs and patch up your deficiencies so that your well-being now becomes tied to someone else's ability to sustain you and deliver you from whatever you're going through? Are you actually setting them up so that the next time you're miserable or feel helpless, you can deflect and blame rather than actually take a look inward and be accountable for yourself? No, I know. That sounds like a harsh line of questioning, but I wasn't asking you. I was telling you what I ask myself, right? I have been finding that the bitter truth is better than a seemingly sweet lie. And I don't really have the desire anymore to lie to myself about anything. And I encourage you at your own pace to do the same. Like, ask yourself questions. If there's a cycle or a trend in your thinking and you clock it and you identify it, then like get to work. Ask yourself those questions. If you're feeling trapped and you're feeling helpless, why do you feel that way? And who is it that you're waiting on to come and save you? It can't be another human being, surely. So what happens now? Look, I'm here on this podcast sharing with you nothing different than what I would probably put in my journal, but I think it's helpful to share so that we know we're not alone. But like, I'm here to unpack my stuff without getting into all the details and get to the bottom of things. And I want the same for you and for all of us. Like, have you ever heard anyone say, the lies shall set you free? Never. And you won't hear it here first, not on this podcast. Helplessness, I think, creeps in when you forget who you are. And I use the word forget intentionally. And I know that there are other versions of this that are more catchy. And in the past, like I may have even said, variations of like discover yourself and find out who you are and so on. And you can still do all of those things. All well and good. But to fine tune that, I think it's less of a discovery because I don't see that you're ever going to find something new about yourself. At least that's not my current working theory. Rather, I'm finding that the more we step into ourselves and our power, and the deeper we go into who we are and our consciousness, the more we begin to remember who we are. Because when you step back into those zones, it's not like it feels unfamiliar. When you come across a quality that's empowering, it's not like you're like, oh, I've never felt this before. There's something about it that feels like we've been there before. It feels like a rejuvenation. It's not unfamiliar on the journey when we uncover aspects of our true selves because it's kind of like you're coming back home to you. We remember our strength, our resilience. We reclaim our dignity, our integrity. We remember our truth, our confidence, our sovereignty, our connection to God within, truly within. And the more we lean in and the more we do the work to stay open and remember, to question ourselves and why we're accepting certain things and certain ways of being and look at ourselves in that non-judgmental way, but with a healthy curiosity, the more the truth reveals itself to us. And I mean, obviously, if they are like all of these revelations, a revelation usually isn't without some kind of friction, right? Because anytime you're switching gears in life, especially towards good stuff, constructive stuff, improvement, right? Things that are unlike it will appear. And it gets tricky and the friction is real. But I've been training myself that when I perceive some kind of resistance or friction in life as I'm moving in what I know to be a direction that's for my highest good, I just take that as a sign of validation that indeed you're moving in the right direction because all of this wouldn't be coming up otherwise. And you're not helpless. Helplessness is an illusion. You are not. You're not helpless. Maybe you've turned your back on your own power. That's a possibility, but you're not helpless. The people in your ears telling you that you are either want to see you that way, or they see your power and it frightens them, or they want to feel powerful, so therefore someone else has to be viewed as weak. Either way, it doesn't even matter what their motive is. It matters what you know to be true about yourself and what you give yourself room to remember about yourself. Don't let people tell you who you are and then get broken up when you hear their perspective. It's just a perspective. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to accept what they're saying. And you don't have to defend yourself either. Like, who are they? When you find yourself in these helpless, hopeless, anxious spaces and places of illusion, I think it's important to somehow, amidst the noise and the chaos, it's important to steal some moments of peace and quiet. Okay, I know you're like side-eyeing me. How am I supposed to find peace and quiet when life is doing the most? But stay with me here. I want to remind you that The choir I'm preaching to might be you, but it's also always me. And I'm not saying anything, nor will I ever say anything on this podcast that I personally haven't found to be true or helpful as I navigate life and challenges, right? And joys. Life is not about challenges. Great things happen too. So I have found that it is important to carve out time for peace, because it is in the stillness that the knowing and the remembering of who you are comes. Now, the Bible says, be still and know. And there are many religious texts and non-religious but spiritual texts that also talk about the importance of being still. And also look at science, like, do we not all rest our bodies by design and out of necessity to go to sleep, and then we wake up? Like, there's something to this stillness. Be still and know. It doesn't say be frantic and know. It doesn't say run around and know. It doesn't say get on the phone and tell somebody all your business and know. It doesn't say be angry and know. It doesn't say tell them like it is and make sure that they know. It doesn't say be anxious and know. It doesn't say any of that. It says be still and know. When last have you been still? And what is it that you've come to know, to realize, to remember in the quiet? If you can't remember when last you've carved out time to be quiet, then do it today. 5 minutes even. Start somewhere. Whether you need to listen to soothing tones or frequencies or guided meditations or go for a walk or go to the beach or, just don't think about anything other than the present moment. Notice life. Focus on your breathing. Focus on your steps, like something. Practice tuning out your thinking mind. And whenever thoughts come in, don't resist them. Just don't engage them. And refocus on your breath or whatever it is that you're focused on. It helps. And you'll get better and better at doing it. You will extend the amount of time you'll be able to do it for. Like inside of you, as you do it, you'll notice it'll get quieter and quieter, and you'll have more peace. And then perspective will come, because perspective lives in the stillness. Solutions will come, because solutions live in the stillness. Power and confidence will come, because those live in the stillness. There's no chaos in the stillness. There's no fear in the stillness. There's no helplessness there either. There are solutions there waiting for you to tap in, but you got to get quiet. You have to be still. If your thinking mind was solving things for you, everything would have been solved already. But your thinking mind just keeps replaying and turning over and looking at what you already know from different angles. But when you're quiet, tap into what is, tap into truth. See what comes to you. Now, I do realize that there are people who don't want the quiet because they're afraid. They're afraid of themselves and what they will find, what they might find. And so they think, you know what, I won't even touch that quiet stillness place. I don't want to know. And if that's you, no rush. Life will still unfold exactly as it should. And when you're ready, if you're ever ready, that's when it'll be your time. The fact that you're listening to this podcast with this kind of content seems like a sign to me, but you'll know what to do or not to do with it. For me, whenever I read stuff or listen to people, I take what works and I leave what doesn't. And it's never anything personal. Sometimes I buy books. I've done this before. And I've gotten it. I've just felt like I'm not ready to read this yet, without knowing what's in there. And then like a year will go by, 2 years will go by, 3 years will go by. I'll pop in my head, this is the book to read. Then I'll read it and it'll be exactly what I needed, right? But nothing before its time. Knowledge and enlightenment and all these different things, they find you when you're ready for the information. Your truth will find you in your life, even if you don't seek it. But why not seek? But back to the question though. When last have you been still, and what do you know? Now, if you've been still or not, we've talked about what you could do there. But when we talk about like, what do you think you know to be true? This answer could change depending on where you're vibrating on any given day, really. If you're overwhelmed, then you might have a response that has a little bit of sass on it, right? You might be like, well, all I know right now is that I don't trust people, and I don't even know if I trust myself because everything sucks. That's an answer. You could also come with, I don't know that I know anything anymore. That might be your cry. I've had those moments before. And in them, I've had to find something to hold on to that I can say that I know, that is absolute, that is true. And what would come to me in those times about like, what do I know? Right? The message was just be still and know that you are. Period. And I like that because there was no room for victimhood there. It wasn't like me crying to God for like, why have you forsaken me? And dear people of my life, why have you forgotten me? And life, why have you done this to me, right? There wasn't any of that. It was just a stillness and a knowing that has nothing to do with my interpretation of anything. It's just based on a fact, like be still and know that you are. I am, right? I'm here. I am. No matter what's going on, like I know that I am. I know that for sure. You are, you simply are. It's a whole sentence, a complete sentence, whatever it means, whatever it embodies, you are. And if your mantra is I am, and that is the only thing you can hold on to and the only thing that you're sure about and the only thing that you could afford to believe right now, because life has done too much to your faith to think that you can know or be certain of anything or anyone else beyond that, then that is absolutely fine. Start there. Start where you are. Know that you are. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. As many times as you need to say it, you say it. And as you say it, realize that the I am statement embodies all that you cannot even begin to comprehend about the magnificence of who you are. No state of lack follows an I am statement. It doesn't follow I am. It doesn't follow you are. There's no helplessness. There's no fear. There's no anxiety. None of that. We do not identify with those things. I am. You are. It embodies the fullness of everything that you are. All the mysteries of us as human beings and how we came to be, and why you specifically are here on this earth. All the secrets are found in I am. Get comfortable with that mantra. To bring yourself back, to start remembering you. I am, I am, I am. Eventually, the affirmations that follow that statement that are true for you will find their way into your consciousness, into your being, and you'll begin to recall all the qualities that you are and possess. And helplessness is not one of them. It can't be. You'll find yourself, I am, I am, I am, I am. You start there the next day. I am, I am. You look in the mirror, you are, you are, you are. One day it'll be like, I am love, I am grace, I am hope, I am health, I am wealth, I am happiness, I am joy, I am, I am, I am. Everything that's true for you will follow it. You got to let your soul guide you. I am, I am, I am. I am, I am, I am. My prayer for you and my prayer for me and for all of us is that all of the qualities and traits that don't serve our highest good would just leave us alone, like kindly go. As a matter of fact, they're already gone. Because we are consciously going to stay in the vibration of I am as often as we can. And if you find it hard to be an I am, deny the things that you're not. If it doesn't hit right to say I am and have nothing follow, and that's weird for you, then when fear comes, like, I am not fear. I'm not helplessness. I'm not anger. I'm not hate. I'm not malice. I'm not jealousy. I'm not a failure. You're not a lot of things. So if you can't get comfortable with I am, get comfortable with striking those things down that you're not. Because in the vibration of I am, and because I am, And because I'm connected to God, source, creator within, it is well. It has to be well. It's always well. And if anything doesn't feel well to me, I have to raise myself to that level. And you can do it. It's a practice. And sometimes we fall off and then you come back again. You fall off, you come back again. Practice. So that's it, y'all. Everything is good. I'm good. You're good. We're good, right? We'll only get better. But I hope you're having a fantastic day. I also hope these COVID symptoms leave me alone. Like really, I need another 10 to 20 naps. But I feel honored to share this space and time with you. I appreciate you for clicking play and having an open heart and open mind. I do not know where this journey of life is taking me, but I'm going, and I'm being obedient and following all of my inner hunches and moving in directions that I feel guided to go. And I feel confident that I'll enjoy the journey and be as surprised as you pleasantly by where it takes us all. Also, for those of you who have texted me via the text link in the episodes, thank you so much. It's more encouraging than you can ever know. People that I didn't even know remembered me or listened to the podcast, reached out, and it just warmed my heart so much, because you never really know if you're having an impact, if what you say makes sense or not. And if you're like me, just come here and talk the things and shut it off and go back to my life. And it's humbling to know that people pay attention and it helps them in the way that it's intended to. That makes it worth it. So keep the feedback coming. Rate the podcast wherever you listen to it, please. I think that'll help. Share it with your people if you think they'd like it. Take care of yourself. And just know that life is here to give you what you desire. So expect and believe that all things at all times are working for your good. If life doesn't seem to be giving you what you think you deserve or want, take a look at yourself and get clear about your desires, right? Get clear inside and things will fall into place. Be patient. And keep your eyes and ears open for your blessings to come. Don't walk around expecting bad things to happen. Walk around expecting good things to happen and look for them every day. And they'll start coming to you. It'll be fantastic. Okay, off I go. Until next time. Take care. Bye.